This is member-supported television for Northern California. KQED, Channel 9.
One of the things I think that happens for us with AIDS is this incredible sense of paranoia that we are going to be ostracized, rejected, hurt, and very often that's what happens by people. It's just nice to have this place to come to. Just if you take advantage of nothing that's offered here, but just to come sit and know that here it's okay, you know.
We are praying very hard to get medicine for our people, and we try to help them to, as far as possible. But the greatest wound that comes to our young people and to other people is the wound from the family, that they are not receiving tender love and care in the life of the family together. This is the beginning of much evil. Yes, because love begins at home. And very often it is the family who disown them and don't want them. And I think if we could only break that fear and that anxiety and that, what will I call it, disowning them, I think we could right at the end make them feel wanted, loved, cared in spite of the disease. If we could bring that into the family life, I think much of the suffering of our people will be removed.
Mother Teresa talks about how we need to counter the loneliness and rejection felt by many people with AIDS in our society. This program is about one such effort, a special place called the Center. Hello, I'm Sylvia Chase, and I'd like you to meet some remarkable people. Some of them have AIDS or HIV infection, and others find meaning in their lives by working with them. They come together at the Center, an old Victorian house in West Oakland. The center was started in 1987 by Brother Jeremy Hollinger of the Missionary Brothers of Charity, the religious order founded by Mother Teresa of Calcutta. From the outset, the center was created to meet not just the basic material and emotional needs of people with AIDS, but also their deeper spiritual needs, the needs for wholeness, community, and unconditional love. And in this respect, it is a rare and wonderful experiment. There's another important way in which the center stands out from other support services. It has a special mission to reach out to those in the surrounding community whose extreme burdens often place them beyond the reach of other agencies. The very poor, the drug addicted, and those least equipped to help themselves. The center offers a wide range of services, including a drop-in day center, daily lunches, a food bank, therapeutic massage, transportation, and counseling. Funded entirely from private donations, the center has a client relationship with 73% of all diagnosed AIDS cases in Alameda County, and it currently serves 300 adults and 12 children. As a volunteer who works with AIDS patients myself, I am deeply moved by the strength and the energy of the people who are involved with the center. As it is with other projects like the AIDS Quilt, so it is with the center. Instead of pain and death, we see beauty and hope and the possibilities in life. As you see the faces and listen to what people have to say, you can't help feeling the inner peace offered and received at the center. In that way, the center helps to heal us all.
You walk in, you don't know who's a person with AIDS, who's a volunteer, who's a staff member often, and often those boundaries are crossed. We're forming community, and that is the intangible. That is the thing which I think all of us want and need the most, and yet which is so hard to find. Where do you go to discover community? Many of the gay men who come in here have lost that sense of family because their own families have not welcomed them. IV drug users may be cut off from their family. many people have that experience, and yet they still need family, they still need community. And I think that's what we're trying to create at the center.
Anyone newly diagnosed with AIDS may find family and friends turning away in fear. But when they walk through the door of the center, they discover a community of fellowship, acceptance, and understanding.
I just felt right at home because the sister was so accepting, you know, at the desk and everything, and I felt that I wouldn't be judged. So, and they wouldn't go into details as to my personal life if I didn't want to, but I felt comfortable with them. So that helped. My first instinct was that it was okay.
Everyone that comes in with different beliefs and different expectations, and when they come in, I found that we are all treated equally. We are all treated with respect and dignity and compassion and love.
And I see them with each other. I mean, you see some of the men that'll hold the little babies that come here with their mothers, and some of the babies will have AIDS also, or ARC, and the mothers that do. We have men, we have women, we have gay people, we have straight people, we have the economic right across the board. And also we have races of every kind and religion of every type, and yet there's an acceptance. I guess acceptance is the big word. I don't think anybody coming here as a client or as volunteer staff ever has to feel they wouldn't be accepted for who they are. So that is, I think, a real plus. And when you consider the fact that many of these people with AIDS are not accepted out there in society for one reason or another, it gives them a place to get away from that, so that for a while they know that they are accepted.
Because they turn down no one. You know, race, creed, or color, or you're written, or anything like that. I see all kind of people here. And so that's what I think the spirit of it is, because I'm not religious. I do believe, but I'm not, no religious background. And I'm here, and I'm wanted here, yes.
But basically, I think that the center is non-denominational. It's a spiritual place, but we welcome all denominations and atheists, agnostics. We just, you know, it's a place where love heals, and love comes in many packages.
But it makes me stronger, because I deal with a lot, and I deal with it by myself and with the center in places like AMHI. You know, anything that's affiliated with the AIDS and art, that's where I get my support and help from. And that's what makes me keep going. Yeah. Because I feel like now I really have to live my life. Because I don't know how, all our lives are shortened, but then by me knowing that I do have a disease that could get worse, and I don't know when or if it ever would, but it just gives me the initiative to go further as far as I can.
The center is a supportive community where a number of practical resources are available to make daily life easier for those with AIDS, HIV infection, their family, and their friends. These services are offered at no charge at all to those who need them.
I call it Mother Teresa's daytime hangout for people with ARC and AIDS, but because that's the best way I can explain it. But it's a place where we can go and just be if we want. It's a place where you're not required to talk to anyone if you don't want to. There's a bathroom. There's a place you can take a bath or a shower. You can get a wonderful massage for free. You can get, I'm an example of a fine haircut you can get every other week. Wonderful hot lunches. And you can go to Mass once a week if you want. There are groups and rap sessions where you can talk about how you're dealing or not dealing with your disease. You can go and read, and you can meet some of the most fabulous people in the world who do and who do not have ARC or AIDS. And it's an oasis in the middle of the big city.
Here at the center we have a food bank which provides bags of groceries every week for 150 people with AIDS and ARC. It's a supplement to what we hope are other sources of food. We try to make it nutritious. We also have a lunch program that has a free hot meal Monday through Friday.
I never expected to be eating Chez Panisse, but I come here every Thursday because Chez Panisse provides lunch. On Mondays, there's a fellow who provides the soup that is a meal. And since Chez Panisse has been active and been a good resource for the center, there are now other restaurants that are once a week, twice a month, supplying lunches as well. So our physical nutritious needs are satisfied here.
I have lots of stories I can tell you. Coming to the center and getting a massage and just feeling in touch with someone, you know, that physical touch is like an embracing. I think that is one of the things that it just put me in touch with another part of me.
And that's another problem. People with AIDS ARC, they're not touched as much, and especially in the public, and people kind of afraid to touch you if they know that you have the disease. And when you come to get the massage, you know, you've been touched, you've been cared for, you need that touch. And a lot of people think that just because you have a disease, you should just forget about, you know, being touched and showing affection and all that. So that part helps too. People here are not afraid to touch you.
It is difficult for any of us to face illness and death. But for those with AIDS or ARC, finding meaning in life and death is a real and immediate issue. Here at the center, they talk openly about these issues and find a new dimension of spirituality in their lives.
I would never in a million years have dreamt that this is how my life would have turned out, that, you know, 42, I was going to have AIDS, and I was going to be talking to people about spirituality and what it means to face death. But that's how it ended up, and I feel lucky.
Well, I think that the great and chief good that has come from my diagnosis has been that the spiritual journey that I've been on all along has simply become so much more real to me. It's I would say it's the difference between walking down a road with your shoes on and knowing that there's a road down there somewhere that I'm on and I'm walking the walk, but and then removing the shoes and walking, and then it's not a question of knowing there's a road down there. I can feel the road. It's tangible. I touch it. I feel its creases and its folds. I know where the sharp places are and where the easy places are. It's not theory anymore. So that's been a blessing, and I'm glad for it.
I've got a disease and I've got to deal with it. And whether or not I deal with it, I'm probably going to die from it. But then I'm going to die anyway. But this will help me die a more spiritually fulfilled and a happier person. And when I go, I've always planned on going real happy. So this has helped a great deal.
There's a certain amount of suffering and pain that comes with AIDS, the experience of AIDS, that can be tremendously liberating. And I'm not talking about wallowing in pain, and I'm not talking about going out and self-destructing with hurt, but I am talking about surrender to what comes. And very often I think that the experience of pain tends to fall away once you surrender to it. What's most painful about pain is the resistance to pain. If you let go, pain can be a wonderfully kind of transforming thing, such that it ends up not being pain anymore. That's been a good thing about the center.
Yeah, it just feels kind of good and strong to discover that I'm able to manage this with all its purported horror, and it is there. I make sense of it. That feels good. You think you start to feel like, well, I am made of something. What do you know?
Here, I realize that we're all good human beings, and the attitude and atmosphere here almost forces one to see the better part of people and see the goodness in them and build from that. And I think that's what spirituality is all about, is supporting and building goodness from goodness.
But indeed, I've learned from experience now by being a part of the center that there is something to be gained from the spiritual experience by sharing with other people. So my spiritual response to AIDS was already going on. The center was already going on. It was kind of like we discovered each other. And I hope I've had something to give to them, because I've certainly gotten a lot from them.
At the center, a dedicated staff of 10 men and women supported by 250 volunteers provide these much-needed services with compassion and love. Whether this support is offered at the center or in homes or hospitals, these care partners are finding deep personal rewards.
It's not something, it's not we as staff with client or volunteer with client. We're all one, and it begins to merge. And I find they accept me too, with the weaknesses and failings I have. I don't have to pretend here at all. I can just be who I am.
When I've been on panels and such, I tell people, look, don't get exposed to the virus, for God's sake, but get exposed to AIDS. There's just something inexplicable happening in this. It's different from other things that have happened to us with regards to illness, at least in my personal history. There's a response that has happened, and I feel it and see it in people who show up at this place because, well, my brother died a year ago in New York, and I felt I have to do something. Or there's a woman who I work with in my office, and she just told me that her son has AIDS, and I just feel a need to do something. Or Rose, who comes here and works in the kitchen sometimes, who buried her son a year ago or so, and well, what's Rose doing? She's doing what she's always done. She's mothering. There's all of that sort of stuff that, I mean, that's kind of the way the place works, and that's who the volunteers are, and that's why they're here, and that's what happens to us when we're with each other.
But death is a normal discussion here, but it's done in a very beautiful way. And I think it's part of, I guess, with this challenge of AIDS, which I see, is I think AIDS puts us in touch with three things that are very intimate in most of our lives, and that is sex, God, and death. And AIDS brings us to face all three of those. It can be very frightening at times, because I find for myself, whatever I'm facing with one of the clients, I also have to face that same reality in my own life. So it does become a very heavy challenge at times. There's no way to pretend that my brokenness doesn't exist too.
One of the things I think we've tried to emphasize here and elsewhere too, as far as I'm concerned, is not talking about AIDS victims, but people living with AIDS. And everyone's coming here who has AIDS, who has ARC, is a person living with AIDS or living with ARC. And in a way, just being here, we ourselves are living with it too. The staff and the volunteers, we're living with AIDS too, in our own way.
And I think a great deal of spiritual growth is taking place through what has happened because people are suffering with AIDS. I think they are teaching us many things and helping us to learn not compassion for in such a way as we feel sorry for, but a compassion with human nature itself, with the human suffering that's a part of life. I think that it's bringing it to the foreground so much that we either accept that and move with that, or we back away from it, and we ignore it within ourselves and within others. So I think that people with AIDS are calling us to something very great. And I think the one key thing that I would see here about the center in relationship to love is we strive for unconditional love. And I think that's what I've meant when I've used the word acceptance or all. And that unconditional love really has to start with how we love ourselves.
We show them that tender love and care, and that we are not afraid, that we really love them, that we really care for them. Like, for example, when we began the work here, there was scarcely anybody there. Now we have night and day volunteers working and serving and taking care and giving tender love and care to the suffering people. It's something very beautiful. It has opened the hearts of many, and it has removed much terrible bitterness and anger and disbelief in many hearts.
I wouldn't trade this time in my life for anything. And that's why I feel very strongly if we could be really open to the whole situation with the AIDS epidemic, and we could look at the people and not the disease, that I think we have a great opportunity to learn some fantastic spiritual values.
I thought I was going to be taking care, and I think that still happens, but I've also found that this place is a place where I get taken care of.
That the center itself, I do believe, is a life-giving experience for any one of us that come here, whether it be client, staff, or volunteer. And that life comes out of the pain and the suffering that's here when that pain and suffering is united with unconditional love.
Perhaps the most valuable aspect of the center is providing a safe and loving place for people to come together to share their journey with AIDS. They find that working, learning, and growing together at the center makes that journey easier.
When I was first diagnosed, I cried, and I felt so horribly alone, and I couldn't understand why this was happening to me. And also I felt like there wasn't anybody else that this was happening to. And there was a feeling of having nowhere to turn to, no one to talk to, a feeling like no one could understand what this was about, because unless you had it, you couldn't know. And the appearance of things was that no one else had it. I wanted to be hugged, you know? And I wanted a place, somebody I could cry with, somewhere I could just go hurt and say, I'm scared, you know, this makes no sense.
I didn't have anyone. I don't have anyone. And when I feel like I need someone, this is where I come. What I mean when I say I need someone to talk to, or to have a nice meal, or just feel that I want it. I feel like I want it here. Yeah. I
feel a lot of love here. That's, and I feel comfort, and I feel people understand me here, and maybe that's exactly it, that you don't have to explain anything, because these folks are around here so much, they already know the story. They know what it's about. They know where it hurts. They know what the little successes are like, and what the failures are like. You know, the place. It's intensely involved with. It's a place of intense involvement with each other, and then also a real easy and casual thing.
It's changed drastically, but when I first found out that I had the virus, I wasn't diagnosed until January of this year as having ARC. But when I first found out, I was angry, I was suicidal, I mean, for a person that not to be as active as, you know, I just couldn't believe it was me. So I just went into denial and for a long time. But then when I started coming to the center, I started to accept it a little bit more. But still, I found myself some days finding that I still haven't accepted it. And by coming to the center, at least I could talk about it. I can relate to other people that have the same problem or similar problems.
I mean, we're all here together as a growing and changing family. We share joy, we share happiness, we share grief, we share the trying moments, we share food, we hug and kiss a lot. It's a place of really great safety. And I think with the complications of ARC and AIDS and being HIV positive, that it's very necessary for everyone to have a place where they can expose themselves that's safe. Because outside of here, it's not very safe.
I am so thankful to have to do this thing, to have to do AIDS with these people. It is a blessing. And I'm not sure, I suppose I'd be somewhere, but I'm not sure where without them. And it's hard to imagine something better.